Hello, Dawn here, Women's Ministry. The topic of today's subject is I've got to get control. This is about body image and eating disorders. So we're going to take this time to, if you need to get coffee or something to eat during this time, because this one's probably about an hour long. So go ahead and get something to eat or drink and come back. So it's basically on eating disorders, and it also has about disorders in the images of your body. So here we're talking about the introduction about what some of the things, that can happen to your body and how things like this happen. And it starts out with people. There are like 34 million people that are overeating. Yeah. 11 million Americans struggle with eating disorders. So they're either overeating or they're not eating enough. And a lot of times they use food as a emotional support. So food is easy to abuse. You know, if you're overweight or if you're underweight, it could be because maybe you have a different kind of disorder going on. Maybe you're self-conscious. Maybe you have low self-esteem. But a lot of people either under-eating or overeating because they have some kind of thing going on in their head that says, I'm too fat, I'm not good enough. So their emotions control what they eat. So how does healthy eating become a disorder? Like anorexia or bulimia? Well, healthy eating, it can start with how to become a disorder is by diets. Diets start with that, or low self-esteem. Or maybe they see somebody on a TV. Maybe they're a supermodel. Or see someone, maybe a model or an actress. And this isn't just for girls, this is for guys too. So they see people and they think, well, I don't look like that. I'm not good enough. I'm overweight. You know, I don't have those slender curves, and I don't have that soft looking skin. So they start criticizing each other. Or maybe it's somebody at work or somebody at school. You know, you have people that go through changes where some bloom a lot faster than others. Yeah, but there are many causes that causes eating disorders. It's not just the eating or the mental part as well. You have to deal with food every day. And we do. Because we have to eat, don't we, to stay alive. So, diets contribute to eating disorders, thinking that we'll try this diet or we'll try that diet, and if that diet doesn't work, then we'll try a different diet. And all these diets that don't work, you know, kind of shuts us down, makes us think, well, that didn't work, maybe this diet will. And they get frustrated and they think, well, I'll just stop eating. Or maybe I won't eat any more carbs. Maybe I'll just eat a little bit. Or maybe they overeat because they don't feel good about their bodies. So what are eating disorders? Well, it's not just about food. It's disorders that we think about. The things how we imagine ourselves. You know, if someone's suffering depression, maybe they don't like the way they're eating, maybe someone's teasing them or saying things to them that are mean. And a lot of times, this could start at the age of 9 or even at puberty, because that's when your body starts changing. And we don't understand our body and what it's doing at that age. So people start seeing things. They seeing different things. Oh, now I've got hips, and now I've got breast. You know, and even with the boys, you know, they start breaking out, and they, you know, other boys start teasing them, maybe because they're not athletic, or maybe they're obese, and they're not able to do the same things the other boys are doing, so they become self-conscious, and that's when boys can start having disorders and thinking that they're not good enough, because the body is changing at that age. Sexuality emerges. That's the sexuality of the body, of the change with the breast and the hips, and you know, being different. Your body changes, and then they look at how people look at them and treat them, because that's not good. Then dating relationships begin. Oh, is he gonna like me? Maybe he's gonna think I'm too fat. Maybe I'm not good enough for him. And then they start have identity issues, because their identity starts affecting their lives. Who am I? What am I? Am I good enough? Do I fit in with this group? It's all in identity. But then after that, then they start thinking about their independence, going to college, finding out who they are. And they all have negative effects on them sometimes. Peer pressure is a major one. And like I said, it starts at the age of 9. Some people go as far as plastic surgery. Plastic surgery. I've seen people that have gone, even in their older years, after grade school, they have plastic surgery. Maybe they have breast implants. Maybe they have a chin tuck. I'll leave my chin tuck. My chin. That's part of me. And I don't mind. But some people do. They go on and have plastic surgery to make them look better. So what are some helpful facts about eating disorder? Well, for one, they want to look a different way. They don't like their body that they're in. Men are obese. Like I said, they're not athletic. They're teased. Eating disorder affects men and women of all ages, but are especially seen in young women. And eating disorders affect their bodies as well as their emotions. Eating disorders affect a wide variety of the population. It used to be where just the rich people would be worried about their themselves and how they look because they're rich and they're in front of all these people and they have to be just right. Well, now it's not so much that. It's gone to a wide variety of people and cultures now. People can actually die from these disorders. The high mortality rate right now is about 20%. People die from eating disorders. We'll talk more about that. So what do? Well, early intervention is the best to get help early on because then you don't have to worry about too much problems with your body because your system can change and cause a lot of illnesses. Eating disorders are best treated with multidisciplinary team. What do I mean? Well, multidisciplinary team could be your doctor, a dietitian, therapist or counselor, even with your family and parents being involved. One person that can help you is God. God doesn't care what you look like. No, He accepts you for who you are. Yeah. So sometimes you might have someone say, oh, you're just too skinny now. Oh, you're too fat. Oh, you're ugly. God created to be who you are. And God accepts you for who you are. And that's one thing I want you to remember. God accepts you for who you are. That's why I don't mind having this chin. It's not that I eat a lot. It's just who I am. And God loves me. But early intervention, when you start seeing things that are happening to you, it's always best to get early intervention. Causes and risk factors, contributing factors to eating disorders. Well, people start off as, like I said, dieting. They start off dieting thinking, I'm going to lose weight. And that could be the Atkins diet, that could be the keto diet, it could be a vegetarian diet, it can be any kind of diet. That's how they usually start out. And then it kind of works on their mental status. It could be as much as history or family history of mood disorder, especially bulimia. And we'll talk about bulimia too. It could start out with mood disorders like depression, OCD, bad eating habits, families busy all the time, the eating on the run, driving. I've seen people drive down the road and eating maybe a taco or a sub or a burger, but they're eating on the run. And it could be part of some of the families that have odd family eating habits. I was told there was one family that would have a can of meat, and a can of fruit. Put that on the table. Have the kids sit down, or maybe they wouldn't even sit together, and they would eat out of the can. Weird habits, but it's been done. Strong family concerns about appearance and weight. Again, dissatisfaction of one's own body and the desire to be thin. So, they're thinking about, oh, this is the way I've got to look. Do you really have to be thin to be happy? Thin people, they're not happy. It's all what you put into your life that makes you happy, not by being skinny. I used to be skinny. It didn't make me happy. I weighed 89 pounds when I was in my 20s. But that didn't make me happy. No, that don't make you happy. Normal development events such as puberty, leaving home, a new relationship with the opposite sex, that could all be stressful on somebody. It could be a lot of stress. It could lower your self-esteem and self-respect for yourself. Someone that comes up to you and has negative comments on your appearance. Like someone coming up to you and saying, why are you so fat? Why don't you just die? Why don't you go without food for about a week? Negative things gonna get on people's minds, and it keeps them from respecting themselves, and it puts them in a depression that they don't think that they're good enough, and then that's all they do is they think about gotta be thin. People will like me if I'm thin. So even if parents say, I can't eat that. It's too much carbs. I'll gain weight. Just by a parent stating that about themselves also teaches these kids that they have to be the same thing as what their mother is or their father is. They have to be skinny. So if the mother's saying that, then the child's going to think that too. If they're listening to that, they're going to say, well, Mom says she's got to be thin. She can't eat that Oreo cookie. She can't have chips and cheese. She can only eat a carrot or celery or a salad. And sometimes that might be a little too much for them. So they say, oh no, I can't. Or they might stop going to outings and social events. Oh, if I go there, then there's food there and they're going to expect me to eat. And I can't eat. And this goes on from family member, can go from family member to family member. Positive family history of eating disorders and with couples and with dieting. So if they have if you have a positive atmosphere, you're less likely to have negative effects on yourself. But if you think that all you have to do is continue to eat, or because they're depressed, or you stop eating because you have to be skinny, that it does affect you. So some of the personality traits that can also affect an eating disorder is someone who's had sexual abuse. Some people have depression. They hide behind food to make them feel better. Those are some things. So, depression, low self-esteem. But those are just a few. Anorexics tend to over-control their emotions. They do not tolerate emotions well and have difficulty adapting to developmental task. So anorexics usually do it because of their emotions. But bulimics tend to show mood instability and impulse control problems. So, and bulimics, I think a lot of people know what bulimics are. Anorexics are people that won't eat. They're on the diets all the time. They eat very little. So basically, anorexics are basically starving themselves. Bulimics are people who will binge eat. They'll eat, and then they'll make themselves throw up so that they can lose the weight or stay a lower weight. Sometimes it's just they're trying to control their weight. So family environment, ways of coping, dealing with stress, anger, conflict, and etc. So the family environment, the stress, like abuse, that's a family environment. Child abuse, sexual abuse, domestic violence. So, and they could also have possible genetic predisposition, which you might have a genetic of something that has ran into your family. But here's some signs of anorexia. If you know anybody or if you know. So these are the signs that to look for anorexia, which is severe weight loss, which is 15% of your expected body weight. Excess exercises where they're constant, and I've seen people do this. They're constantly exercising. If they're not exercising in a gym, they're exercising at home. I had one person that I knew that would exercise all day long, to lose weight. They had a fear of food, so they would avoid food. They would look in the mirror and they'd say, "Oh, look at me, I'm fat. I gotta lose weight." So they're delusional. What they're thinking that they see is that they're too fat, when actually they're nothing but skin and bone. So they're having a delusional and distorting their body figures. Their fear is to gain any weight whatsoever. In females, the absence of three consecutive menstrual cycles. So if somebody who's missed their period or their menstrual cycle for 3 times, is a great indication that they are anorexic, because their bodies are changing because they're not getting the nutrients they need to keep their bodies healthy. Medical symptoms. Depression, irritability. If you know someone that's irritable all the time and they're depressed, that could be a sign. Gastrointestinal problems with their stomach, where they're having problems with their abdomen or their stomach. Constant headaches. They're sensitive to cold, low pulse and temperature. Hair loss is a good one. They become weak. They have weakness and anxiety. Low blood sugars, because they're not going to keep their sugar up if they don't have food in their body. Fainting, You know somebody who's fainting because they don't have enough nutrients in the body? Reduced ability to concentrate. This is what self-starvation does, anorexia. This is what it does to the body. Bulimia. It's compulsive eating, which is called binge, followed by self-induced purging or vomiting. Sometimes they use not just vomiting, but maybe they'll use laxatives, diuretics, fasting, enemas. I've had a friend that used laxatives to lose weight, and that was not a good thing. Excess exercise to control weight. So laxatives are not a good, because it irritates the stomach on top of it. But I knew someone who was using laxative just to lose weight, and it was a constant cycle with her because I knew she liked to eat lots of sweets. Lots of donuts, cakes, pies, scones. Scones was her number one. She liked scones. So that's some of the things that people do. It's out of control eating and fear of gaining weight. It occurs at least twice a week for 3 months, where they'll do that. They'll eat, and then they'll throw up or have diarrhea. Some people put their finger in their mouth, or they'll put an object in their mouth to make them throw up. Or some people can actually just make themselves throw up, where they can press on their stomach or think about something gross and make themselves throw up. Medical problems. This is very important. So, some of the medical problems are large weight fluctuations, because they're eat, and then they try to throw up. So their weight goes up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. They have stomach distress or gastric distress, headaches, skin irritation. Of course, their body electrolytes are going to be just have a disturbance in it, because it's not going to be nice and even. It'll be going up and down, up and down. So the electrolytes will be off because of throwing up too. They'll lose their teeth, and they can have gum disease. It also affects depression, and it could also cause heart failure, because your electrolytes will be all off, which also causes problems with your heart when your electrolytes aren't the way they're supposed to be. Compulsive overeating and binge eating has poor control. They have very bad control over their eating. They'll eat high-calorie foods in an excessive quantity multiple times a day, and that could be like eating a whole pie or drinking a whole 2 liter of soda and a pizza. Eat a whole pizza. That's binge. They're eating and eating and eating and drinking lots of calories, and then they'll go throw it up. They will eat until they are uncomfortable. And then after they eat all that, then they feel disgusted. Like they don't feel good at all. I know that if I were to eat like that too much food, I don't feel good at all. So I watch what I gotta eat so that I don't make myself sick. They take themselves away from any social activity because they don't want people to see them. They don't want them to see, how they're living. So they take themselves out of any social events. Of course, they're going to have depression because they're not going to feel good. They're going to think that they can't do anything right. They're depressed. They're still not happy with what their body looks like. They can have anxiety and panic attacks. They avoid going to work or school. Very low self-esteem. So one of the things, questions to ask is if you have anorexia or bulimia, some questions to ask. Do you want to be free? Do you want to be free from this? Will you trust someone to help you? Will you be honest about your behavior? Will you share your thoughts no matter how stupid or embarrassing you think they are? Because there's no stupid questions. And there's no stupid thoughts. And you're not going to be judged. Will you face the painful hurt in your life? What's going on in your life? Will you deal with your relationship problems and feeling of unworthiness? Because you know what? You are worth something. You are worth everything. And like I said, God made you. God accepts you for who you are. And you should too. Will you face the deception you embrace? You are fat, no good, unworthy to love. Would you be willing to get rid of that? Will you allow God to help you? Let go of the false control you have and ultimately surrender to Him. Will you agree to feel uncomfortable in order to get better? Will you stop trying to act in your own power? Will you tolerate failure? How will you tolerate it? These are things you gotta ask. But remember, answer them honestly. Are you willing to do this? If so, some of the other things you can say is a woman ready to get help? Are you willing to get help? Do you know of someone that is in this situation? Are they willing to get help? Well, you gotta start out by telling the truth. No denying, only the truth. Have faith and not lack of faith. Give up that pride. Because pride is before destruction. So get rid of that pride. Have control of your emotions and let someone help you, guide you through it. Get rid of the deception. Get rid of the deception that you have to be skinny, you have to be perfect. There's nobody here on this earth that's perfect. So by looking in the mirror, you can't be deceived saying that you have to be skinny, you have to be perfect. No, you don't. You gotta be healthy. And you have to give yourself time. It takes time. God can give you a miracle too. Sometimes it takes time And through prayer, sometimes you can see a miracle and it happens right away. And there have been people that have done that. So, here's some tag-alongs. This is the tag-alongs are depression, anxiety, OCD. It's where OCD is where you go and you check to make sure the door's locked, and you go back and you say, nope, I gotta go back and check the door. It's a compulsion. You have to constantly go back to make sure something is done. You go back over and over and over again. Did I shut the lights off? Did I lock the door? Did I put my keys in my purse? It's a compulsion that they have to always make sure that something is done. Tag-alongs could be through sexual abuse or even substance abuse. Because if you have someone in your household that's an alcoholic, they can be very critical of you. They could be having been drinking all day, and then they look at you and say, "You're ugly." They don't really know what they're saying because they're not thinking correctly. Hospitalization, when to consider it. When you're seriously low weight and not gaining weight. Can't get enough control of binging and purging cycle. So if you're binging and purging, and you can't get in control of it, and you feel like you have to constant, for one, your throat's going to be awfully sore because the acid kind of tears into it. Severe depressions with thought of suicide. Definitely call 911. Get down to the hospital where someone can help you. Don't attempt. Impulsive behavior. Impulsive. What would you do impulsive? Think about it. Me, I would be impulsive and probably shopping at a site. Can't do that either. Disorganized thinking. Failure to make any progress on one's own or outpatient therapy. So that's another thing, right, too, is to make any progress. Here you're getting things going, and you just can't feel like you're making any progress. Maybe can't go to work, can't go to school, can't go out into a social event. So if you're not making progress at home or at work or at school, it might be the time to get a hold of somebody, get some help. What needs to change? What do you need to change? Well, do a journal. This is one thing I think would help too, so you can see what's going on. Keep a journal of your eating. Write down situation. What is your situation? Maybe you got a failing grade. Someone yelled at you. Your boyfriend broke up with you. So how does that make you feel? Are you upset with yourself? Hurt? Anger? Feel rejection? And then think about what your thoughts are. I can't fail. I'm stupid. I'm unlovable. So what happens when things like that happen? You might skip a meal, overeat, or binge and purge. What are you doing at this time? So you need to keep a journal to see why things are happening. Think of yourself once a day to make things. I want you to write a journal to see what's going on in your life, or why you're having an eating disorder. Replace your negative with your positive. I think I'm ugly. No, I'm beautiful. Remember, God loves you. God accepts you. And remember, there's always hope. Always hope for the better. And some things we consider as well is what needs to be changed. So you can write a journal, track eating habits. Also, what might help too is if you have a scale. Now listen to that part. You may use the scale once a day. Only once, no more. The scale is to tell you if you're still losing or if you're maintaining or if you're gaining. Like if you've lost too much weight, see if you're gaining weight to make yourself healthy. But you can only use it once a day. In the morning, that's it. Because some people will use that scale to see if they're losing. And you don't want to use it for the losing. You want to make sure that you're maintaining a healthy weight. Change your thinking. Cognitive behavior therapy or mindfulness usually works to help regulate your emotions. Also, who are you? Write in your journal who you are and where you're going. Face your sexuality. Stop pleasing others. Please yourself, not others. Nobody is perfect. Take the foods that you eat that you are abusing, turn them into healthy foods. Talk to someone maybe about your family issues and needs for structure. If you're having problems with, like I said, a can of food, meat, and maybe a can of fruit. Maybe structure your family to have more of a sit-down dinner instead of on the go. Those things. But there's hope. And pray. That's another one. Pray to God. Ask for help. Ask for wisdom. Ask for direction. And I bet you God will send someone to help you. But if you find yourself find yourself in a situation, I need you to call somebody or go to the emergency and get help. And they can help you. They can help you get back on track and help and have different people working with you so that you stay healthy. I don't want to see you end up having heart problems, stomach problems, headaches, or even death. So I encourage you to get help, okay? Don't forget, there's always help. Hope, 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 hope. Think positive, not negative. Hope. And talk to God. Until next time, you have a safe weekend. Bye-bye.